Hello, folks. I am about a minute ahead of time here, and I apologize for that. I got a little bit more setup to do. Let me get the headphones. No, those headphones will not work. Let's try a different set, and I may not even need them because, just because I may not. So hold on a quick second. Oh, yeah, much better. Fantastic. Let's turn this down a little bit and make sure that the microphone is where it's supposed to be. I think it is. And so now I'm going to Dragon Lair. Hey, man. I started a little bit early because I didn't have my earpiece where I wanted it to be. So I did it. Amy from Music. Hello. Thank you both for being early adopters here. And I got a few things to talk to you about. I really didn't think I did. Cichlids 23. Hello. I didn't think I was going to have a lot to talk about. I thought I was going to talk about plants. But I think I'm going to talk about some other stuff here too. Dragon Lair looks and sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Don't know how the weather is where you guys are. And admittedly, I'm kind of treading water here a little bit. I have actually been on live streams most of... Ooh, ding. Hold on a second. Where's that from? Okay. Let's see. So I've been on live streams most of the day. And it is getting increasingly warmer here in the living room. So I've got the fan over there. Not yay, but the fan trying to cool me off here, so we'll see how that goes. And Edgar, the little brown dog who normally sits in that chair right about there, you'll see him later, is off wandering somewhere. I threw some food out for him. But so there you go. And so let's see. Oh, I know. If I don't answer this, then all hell's going to break loose. So, okie doke. I'm going to share this answer in pieces, but not completely and not right this second. So I've been going back and forth with a couple of my buddies while I've been on other live streams, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. So the hobby is slow right now. Absolutely no two ways about that. Let me, if I have not said hello to you, I think I've got everybody here in the chat. If I didn't, yeah, Dragon Lair, Satan's Playground here today. It's not that bad. It's like 81, 82, but, not over 100, which is where it has been. Amy by Music, beautiful here in Minnesota. Amy, I'm going to tease you just a little bit. I was in Minneapolis in February doing work about 15 years ago. You people actually sit out on the sidewalk with these tiny kerosene heaters, take off your shoes, when you still have your socks on, and actually eat meals in the evening. You have no sense of hot and cold. There's a joke about how Minnesota is populated by Norwegian bachelor farmers who came over from Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, and were looking for some place from a climate standpoint that was just as miserable as that godforsaken place they left, and Minnesota was the only place they could find. So, there you go. Let's see, Cichlids, only 91 here. True, wow, which is low for us. Yeah, probably so. But it's a dry heat, and not so much. So there, Terry Morris. Oh, no, can't do that. Isn't it funny how you get on a live stream and all of a sudden people love you, and you start getting phone calls and stuff like that. So let me turn the phone off. Okay, here we go. Okay, the phone is off. At least I think it's off. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Dragon Lair, too hot to have fish ship. Maybe from where you are at, I actually got in a trio of L260s, which are Queen Arabesque. It's a lovely name for a fish. And yes, the females do look very queenly. The males look just like them, but they're not queenly. And also in that box was a pair of longfin blue-eyed Plecos. They landed yesterday. They could not have been healthier. And they came from, so I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. They came from North Dakota. And I was just about going to brain the guy who sent them because he put a heat pack in there. But it all worked out wonderfully. So I'm not going to complain. I will have to ask him at some point, and I don't want to make him feel bad about what he did. And I'm betting he put the heat pack in because he was worried about low temperatures at night. But isn't that always the problem that we have with these kinds of, with these shipping questions? Do I put a heat pack? Do I put a cold pack? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? And when I'm in Cleveland and I'm sending out to the West Coast, I have to worry about, well, it's cold over in, so where's my first stop? My first stop's going to be Denver. It's cold there. What's it doing as it goes across the Rockies? Depending on where you land inside of there, but maybe it lands in California, hot there. Then it goes north, then it goes south. Then it's just rough. Anthony, hey man, I appreciate you lurking. That's fine. Always lurk. And I'm glad you're working. So let's see. Cyclist 23 played a night game in Duluth mid-August. Like I say, I am just the most popular guy in the world here. Let me turn this part off. Mid-August, 8 degrees at game time, 2 degrees after the game. Well, let's go. So that was Duluth, Minnesota. Let's go back way before you guys' time. 1964 or 5, Super Bowl 1. The Ice Bowl was, minus a gazillion. And it might have warmed up to minus a gazillion, -4. It was just incredible. But, there you go. So, Amy, Duluth is 2 hours north of me. It's that big lake. Yeah, exactly. What I always love is when you get out there in Wisconsin, Minnesota, even the Dakotas and stuff. People always talk about whatever the next big city south is. Might be 2-3 hours, but I know one of the guys was saying, well, he got outside of Minneapolis and he got to St. Paul. That was a big deal. He goes, well, my next stop was Des Moines. I said, well, isn't that in Iowa? He goes, yeah, it's like 3.5 hours. So that's not really the next stop. He goes, well, it is when you're out here. So I thought that was pretty funny. But all right, so let me ramble on for a little bit. I wanted to talk about plants in production tanks. And for those who know me, or even those who don't know me, my bread and butter for a good bunch of years was Plecos. Typically bristlenose and typically longfin. I did longfin super reds. I did longfin albinos, longfin calico, and some longfin browns. I mean, if you can get them big enough and pretty enough, people would be interested in that. And I'm going to tell you, you put in all the caves and rocks you want, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were the days that I shipped. And I used to ship, I'm not exaggerating here, probably 10, 15, about 25 boxes a week. And I did that for a couple of years there. It's not the biggest shipping in the world, but every Monday, I mean, you're taking up the rocks and you got to check every, oh, for the love of God, stop it. You got to check every side to make sure there's not a pleco. Then you put it in a bucket for the plecos that you miss, because I guarantee you're still going to miss one. Rock, blah, blah, blah. Even with bare bottom tanks, I still had plants that were in either pots or bonsai pots or this. So you bring those out. Same problem. You have plecos all over the damn place. And so by the time you get the plecos out that you need, get them bagged up, get them boxed up and this and that, you start putting all the crap back, you're going to go through the same thing on Tuesday. So if you've got production tanks, does it pay to put any kind of ornamentation in there at all? In your breeding tanks, I will absolutely tell you, sure it does, because you're trying to get them to breed, but not in the production and the sales tanks. I think you need to keep the furniture to a minimum and the live plants to a minimum. Now, why on earth would I put a live plant in with a pleco? Well, the bristlenose plecos, I'm sorry, my melon's sweaty and itchy. With bristlenose plecos, they are not plant destroyers from that standpoint. They really don't dig up the substrate, nor do they eat the plants. But there's a beneficial side for the respiration, the CO2 cycle, the O2 cycle, and the ammonia nitrite cycle. A little bit of an upside. So the next problem I ran into, though, was I started to accumulate Java moss. Java moss is a wonderful tool for the fry, tool for guppies, tool for the ditherfish, and good cover. But here's the problem. If you're just dumping in food, and let's face it, if you got a production facility, you're just dumping in food. If I've got a blob of Java moss over here, come on, Craig, use your big boy skills. Java moss over here, and you're dropping in food over there, that's fine. If you're dropping it in on top of the Java moss, it's going to trap it in there. And it's going to go bad. It's going to fungus. It's going to be a real problem for you. I'm going to keep this out. If you guys get feedback, let me know. It's going to be a real problem. And I have really, within the last 2 or 3 weeks, started to take the Java moss out. And it's turned out I've got about 10, 20 longs with nothing else in it except water and Java moss. So if anybody's interested, reach out. We'll work a deal there. But I'm finding that what do I want to say here? The bad side of trapping food and trapping badness inside the Java moss is not worth the payoff for what it lends. The same thing with all of the other plants that I've put in. Now, let me go one other direction. Subwassertang. I am in love with subwassertang. It's very difficult to find. It doesn't grow real fast until it grows real fast. And I've got a handful of it, and a handful is turning into 2, is turning into 4, is turning into 8. What I love about it, and if you don't know the plant, it looks like a green grass that you put into an Easter basket. It's very loose. You can see through it. The fish can get through it, so fry can get through it. Shrimp absolutely love it. And I am just so sold on subwassertang. And as soon as I can get that to growing, I will become a production facility for that. But I got to tell you, my days of the Java moss come and gone. Had enough. So that's my tale there. I would love to hear what any of you folks have to say about shipping fish and whether plants do you any good whatsoever. So I'm going to go over here to the chat and roll myself back as soon as I can make the mouse work here. Oh, come on. This isn't supposed to be that difficult. Let's see. Let me go up and see what we got here. We don't have anything new here. Let's see. Cichlids 23. I took one trip. Took 3 weeks to get around Lake Superior. Well, that's why it's called Lake Superior. The Pacific Ocean, I got duped. That's why it's the Superior Lake, not the Interior Lake. Amy 5 Music, trying to get my super reds to spawn. Amy, let's talk about your super reds. Super reds are like guppies if you feed them the right stuff. I would lean strongly to green beans. I used to get them out of the can. Low salt, no salt would be best, but you can rinse the salt off. And that's all I did. Pop the top on the can, put them into a colander, spray with water, throw them into, well, you could walk around, but this colander is kind of dripping. So I throw them into a bowl after that and just start throwing them into the tanks. Come back the next day, whatever isn't eaten, pull it back out again, more beans. If you can do that 4 to 5 days a week, they will love you forever. They will also love, what's that other stuff? Zucchini. Not quite as great for them, but they're good. So that's my Pleco formula. The other one too, Sergeant's Pet Tank, Sergeant's Tank Pet. God, I wish. And I'm so sorry, Jeremy, that I'm messing up the name of your channel. Go there, and he hasn't been active in a while, but he has got gold on his YouTube videos, and he will coach you up on how to do Plecos like there's no tomorrow. The man made his living, and I want to tell you, many hundreds every month, month after month after month for a couple of years. His key, and I don't want to be the spoiler here, water changes, but you want to read the you want to listen to his videos. There's absolutely gold in there. Let's see. Let's see. Cichlids 23. I need a super red female. Long fin or short fin cichlids 23. I got a buttload of females. Mine thrash around and mess up the plants. They can. It depends on whether you get gravel or, I mean, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying not as bad as some. I mean, some of them just take absolute delight in grabbing the plant and just shaking it out of the ground. Not as bad as cichlids, but pretty darn good at it. Let's see, dragon layer, Plecos pupillata. Plants help break that down and use the nitrate. Yes, they absolutely do. No two ways about that. And that's why I kept the Java moss in there for so long. But again, its usefulness is come and gone. Just no two ways about it. So Amy 5 loves Subwassertang. Oh my God, I do too. It's just so hard to find. You find a little here, you find a little bit there. One of the dragon layer, it's a type of algae, isn't it? No, it's a plant. I don't believe that it's an algae. Hang on, let's go to the map here. In case that doesn't work play well with us tonight. Let's see, Subwassertang. We're just not. Well, Subwassertang is a type of aquatic plant, long considered to be a liverwort, which it strongly resembles. But in 2009, on a Tuesday, not kidding on my part, a molecular phylogenetic study determined that what it is, in fact, is a fern gametophite. Fern gametophite. There'll be a quiz on this later. So there you go. Amy says, how about the frozen? I'm sure you don't mean frozen Subwassertang. You mean frozen green beans. So here, let me give you my speech on frozen, but I'll give you the answer first. Of course, frozen, right? Thaw it out, clean it, rinse them and blah, blah, blah. I do live brine shrimp. I do not like frozen because just like with people food, which would you rather have, a salad that was freshly made from ingredients that you got as quickly as you can from the farm, or do you want stuff that's been in a plastic bag for a week and is sprayed with the stuff to make it not be brown and all? So, it's one of those kind of things. It's like people often talk to me about adult brine shrimp and how wonderful it is. Adult brine shrimp has almost no nutritional value whatsoever. The brine shrimp start off hatching on day one with a giant yolk sac. As it absorbs more of that yolk sac over day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the yolk sac goes down, the brine shrimp goes up. By the time you get an adult brine shrimp, it has devoured all of the yolk sac. Then you feed it, but trust me, there's not much left other than thorny exoskeleton. So there you go on brine shrimp. And so frozen's not as good as fresh is not as good as right out of the farm, but we do what we have to do with what we with what we can. I will tell you, though, that the frozen green beans are going to be a whole lot better than green beans that have been dried out and turned into powder or turned into algae flakes or, turned into flaky flakes or, different things like that. So I think you're a step ahead there. But a dragon, they're fresh frozen, they won't stick. Yeah, Dragon's right about that. You have to thaw them out, spray them down, that kind of stuff, and then they will. Amy 5, it's a plant. Okay. Wave moss is cool too. Well, I don't know what wave moss is. Let's go to the map. Ooh. Loxcreme, classified as a fern, but it looks like a moss. This plant is a great species. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I actually have some of that too. Somehow it came in with the Java moss, so I have tanks of that, tanks of the other stuff. I really just thought they were sort of like, how you look out on your lawn and you go, well, I have grass. Well, really? What kind of grass do you have? Well, I mean, you could have fescue and you could have horned, and you could have, creeping Charlie. And I mean, there's like 50 different kinds of grass, but we always go, I just got grass. I got lawn. So I always thought that Java moss, that was pretty much it. They were all the same thing, even though they kind of looked a little bit different. But no, I agree with you. The wave moss, especially when it grows those tall fingers and you can keep stuff going back and forth, that's really kind of nice. Sharon Miller's here. Hey, Sharon. Everybody say hi to Sharon. So yeah, I like, Amy says, can of beans are too large of a quantity. Yeah, no. So you don't have to give it all at the same time. Put them in a, so like I say, you open the can or however much you've got, and put whatever you need in the colander, spray it down, put it in the bowl, feed it, and then keep the rest in the refrigerator for tomorrow and the day after. Now, this is a good segue. So I was looking for an opportunity to drop a name here. So Dragon Lair, I keep canned beans in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. They're fine to feed. Yep, Dragon is absolutely correct. I do the same thing. So my buddy Greg Sage, yes, Greg Sage, and Greg often lurks on this channel. Greg, I am so contrite. I owe you a message, and I will do it. For those of you other than Greg, put your fingers in your ears. Greg, I've been in and out of the hospital. I'll tell you about that later. But I'm going to find now. So anyway, Greg has developed the Green Dragon Pleco. And Greg buys green beans by the pallet load. And it's my understanding he gets about a pallet load every month, feeds roughly 5 pounds a day. So that's what he's been actually up to there. And so the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because I was doing this with a different guy that was not Greg, but so you guys know that I do Plecos. Hang on a second, I saw the drink here. It's very easy. Well, it's not only very easy, it's almost expected that people not only name drop, but they make stuff up. Let's talk about Plecos and Super Reds. If you've ever seen a Super Red, they're not red, not even orange. They're sort of peach color, but we call them, not only do we call them red, we call them Super Red. And then beyond that, if I tell you that they are Czechoslovakia, Czech sourced Super Reds, you just double the price. If I tell you they are German sourced Super Reds, add 50% more to that price. Is it fair? No. People do it all the time, though. What do I want? So there are white Plecos. They are not albino. They're actually white. They're what Greg would call a high white Pleco, and pretty hard to come by, right? So if I go to things, so if I do something fancy, like I go, not only do I have a green dragon, I have a Greg Sage green dragon at 100% of the price. And it was really funny. He came to the house. We were talking one time, and he goes, "Do you think I'm charging too much for my green dragon?" I said, "For the love of God, Greg, all you have to do is tell them they're literally from the hallowed waters of Greg Sage, the sanctified tanks of Select Aquatics. You can name your price." Oops, hang on. Means a big truck just went by. My Ring doorbell went off. Name your own price, which he has no interest in doing. Right? He already attracts more attention than he wants to. He just thinks that he's priced too high. So no, trust me, you're priced fair. But you've got so many people that are willing to capitalize on almost anything. So by way of example, let's say I go to Aquabid, eBay, Get Gills, any place like that, and I buy a pair of fish from, let's just insert name of Joe Smith. And Joe Smith is a well-known fish breeder. And so I spawn these fish and I got them, blah, blah, blah. Now, Joe Smith is really, really long, really, really hard to come up with whatever fish he came up with. And whatever I bred from those fish, well, let's hope they bred true. But let's say I didn't go through the culling and I didn't go through the feeding and I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And let's just say they are a poor representation of Joe's fish. But when I sell them, I hang his name on them. Fair or unfair? Well, in my opinion, it's very unfair. But I'm wondering what you all think about this. Do you see it? Do you like it? Do you care one way or the other? So I'll give you a few minutes to weigh in here while I go to the chat. And you guys tell me your opinions on this. Let's see. Let's see. Sharon says, I've tried green beans, all kinds. My Plecos won't eat them. They love zucchini, cucumber. Yellow squash disappoints me that they don't like green beans. So Sharon, just to be sure, you are talking bristlenose and not other kinds of Plecos, correct? And you probably are, to be honest, if they're eating zucchini, cucumbers, and yellow squash. Yeah, you know. Dragonland found snow white Plecos at Petco, which came in with some reds, $5. Boy, I'd love to see snow white Plecos that came into Petco. In reality, snow white Plecos, the only source we know of right this second, comes out of Europe. I know of 2 people who have had the initial spawns of short fin whites in this country. No one who has spawns of long fins. Doesn't mean there's not. I'm just saying what I know. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a connected guy like that. Who in their right mind would sell them, for $5? If memory serves, I paid $75 each for my short fin whites, and they were 1.5 inches. So I'd love to see whether they're whites, albinos. So that brings up a whole different. So let me look down. Sharon saying bristlenose. Well, there you go. I will tell you, Sharon, that I start all of my fry as soon as the yolk sacs are developed. The first feeding that they get Plecos anyway, they're going to get some baby brine shrimp, and then they're in the little breeding container. They're going to get a green bean. I know they're not going to eat it. I just want them to try. And so, keep looping on it. Eventually they get used to it. So maybe it's, maybe it's like a human kid. You got to get used to, eating your vegetables. But let's see. So going back to the whites, and I wanted to talk a little bit about leucastic or albinoism. I'm not sure of the correct plurals here. When I first started my first biology classes, I was under the impression that one was either an albino or one was not an albino. So there was either an albino human being or there was not a human being that was an albino, or a cow or a fish or this or that. Turns out I couldn't be more incorrect. Albinism or albinoism or leucastic and I'm losing my plurals here. But anyway, let's just call it albinoism. Can be facially, it could be just your eyes, it could be your skin, it could be internal to you. There are people who have upper torso albinoism. There are people who have one side of their body versus the other, an arm, a hand. So the rules are off. So that takes us back to, let's go to guppies. There are red-eyed guppies that are albino. There are red-eyed guppies that are not albino. And it's all a matter of what that genetics has to say to it. So let's go back to the whites. And I know this was an incomplete tutorial on albinoism. I'll try and do better next time, but I wanted to loop back to whites. So whites are not albino under any circumstances. They have somehow picked up a white pigment that they have managed to pass on, and they will in fact be dark-eyed. But here's one of the things that most of us who are dealing with this, and I don't want to be more specific than this about Greg, but he's working with high white fish, as am I, as in a bunch of us. One of the things that we have found out that about half of the fry of high white fish, doesn't matter what kind they are, die at about 3 months. And due to various autopsies that have been done, it turns out they're dying of melanoma, skin cancer, essentially, because they are high white, which would indicate that there is at least some degree of albinoism in them. So we don't know. Now, there are various ways to get an autopsy, or a necroscopy is actually on a fish is what it's called. And depending on the level you want to get to, they're somewhere between $250 and $1,000 to really get some level of detail here, which is outside my price range to kind of figure this out. So I'm kind of doing it at a different level. Others people are trying to do different things that way. Let me get back to the chat here because I know people are going to want to weigh in on this. Let me put this one down here and go over here. Let's see. Damn, I hate this mouse. Talk about first world problems here. Let's see. Amy says Buenos Aires, tetras will like them too. Yeah, bloodfin tetras will as well. Let's see. Dragon Layer says, Sharon, for 2 years I couldn't get my Plecos. Oh, Sharon, I'm sorry. Dragon Layer is probably using voice to text. I do that all the time, and you get so many interesting sentences. My Plecos to eat green beans, and suddenly they started eating them. It is weird, isn't it? Peplin Creek Aquatics. I don't know if I said hello to you, but hello. I have longfin albino. That is way whiter than the other hundreds I have. Love to see a photograph, and feel free to send it to me any way you can find. Peplin Creek came from a regular albino pair. So that's the way I always go. They're not necessarily a cast off of any particular color. By way of example, if you were to take an albino pleco, breed it with a calico, you're going to get mostly browns. If you breed it against a super red, mostly browns. You're going to breed it against almost anything else, almost totally browns. And so if you breed it against an albino, you're going to get mostly albinos, but you'll get a couple of browns, a couple of throwbacks to the original 144As, and about one every 100 or two, you're going to get a white. And there's a guy, and I apologize for not knowing his name. He's up in Canada. I want to say maybe BN. It's two initials and then aquatics after it, if any of you guys know what I'm talking about. He's actually working on a blue bristle nose. And I mean, this guy is way, way, way ahead of the curve on bristle nose. If you're got any kind of interest on bristlenose, you need to find him. He is also right now in the midst of raising clown Plecos fries, and he is just really, really something else. So that's what's going on there. Let me go back up here a little. Dragon lair. This one is short fin, but very white and not albino, dark-eyed. Awesome, Dragon. I'd love to see a picture of that too. Let's see. Amy 5 says, my aunt is albino. Okay. Petsotics, multiple aquariums. Hello. Hey, Petsotics. Dragon. Peplin, breed it back to the parent of its opposite sex. I know where you're heading with that, Dragon. I'd love to see it too. We're going to have to see, right? Peplin says, already on it. Dragon, do I remember when solid black guppies always died at 2 to 3 weeks from cancer? I do remember that. And I was talking to Kelly. Who was I talking to about that? Not that long ago. Oh, come on, I'm better than this. I should have a name I could drop for you. No, I can't remember who it was. Yeah, and a lot of them are like that. So there's the dragon scale beta. The scales are all cancer. You know, it's not really pretty, but, you know, that seems to be what happens with them. Peplin, it does have a pink eye, not dark. So typically, Peplin, and again, just typically, when it has a pink eye, what's really happening there is the eye has no pigment at all, and what you're seeing are the blood vessels shining through. So like a human that has a full albinoism, they look like they have red eyes. It's just the blood vessels showing through. Why their skin almost has a pink hue, it's the blood vessels as well. But there's so much more going on here in fish because, again, it might be just the eyes, it might be just the head, could be the body, it just could be a lot of things. So there we go. So let's see. Let me go back here and see what we're up to. And I am kind of out of topics here. So what are you guys up to in your fish room? What's keeping you interested this hot week? Hang on a second. Yeah, Dragon, I'm going back to your comment about when solid black guppies always died at 2 to 3 weeks. And I want to say that either was a byproduct of the Moscows or why the Moscows were created was to sort of fix that. But one of these days, what I want to do is when I can muster it ahead of time, I want to bring in one or more of the guppy experts because I've been reading just a tremendous amount. Oh, here we go. Dragon Lair, JN Aquariums, Jesse in Canada. Those blue long fins are awesome. If you guys do not know about this guy, you gotta. And hang on a second. I want to do something here. Apparently that's not going to work. Okay. You got to be able to find this guy and really watch his stream, maybe watch his history and then get on his live streams. He will tell you anything and everything you want to know. No secrets with him. Awesome guy. Way ahead of the curve on Plecos. Trust me, I've bred my fair share of Plecos. I'm in kindergarten compared to where this guy is. So you definitely want to do that. So anyway, back to guppies. I've been doing a fair amount of research, and it's amazing how many people feel that the female guppy carries almost no genetic DNA. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I just know that there's a lot of people with that feeling that almost you could use any female you want. Now, I know in the Endler universe, it's kind of that way. And I would love to talk to somebody who is really down with that whole genetic thing. Just like I would love to have somebody who did the same thing with Plecos and could talk about the DNA there because I listened to a broadcast. There was a woman who was on a live stream. She doesn't do live streams. If I had to, I could go dig out her name, but she does her own fair share of breeding, and I love how she talks about or designated the Plecos, the bristlenose Plecos, as designer Plecos, because you really can. I mean, we're to the point now where we've got very dark black, very white. We have browns, we have calicos, we have reds. JN up in Canada, am I saying his name correctly here? JN is coming up with blue. Greg has green dragons, but I wish I had my notebook in front of me. I always hate when I do this. I want to be very careful, and I want to warn you guys. Green dragons are not bristlenose Plecos. They are a hybrid of two other L number Plecos. If I had my notebook in front of me, you'd think I have actually told people this so many times. There's no reason why I don't know it, just like my own social security number. But anyway, green dragons are an awesome fish. They look very close to a bristlenose, but they are absolutely not. And they will cross with a bristlenose too. Not a bad thing. They just will, but that's not how you make them. It's not how you get one. Let's see, dragon layer, black pigment in lots of fish is or causes a type of cancer. Yeah, and dragon, I'd love to know why, and I don't. So it would be interesting to know. Like I say, I know that with whites, it's skin cancer. With blacks, who knows, it might be the same thing. So I don't know. All right. So again, what else? You got anything else you want to talk about? Because like I say, I'm kind of running out of stuff here, and I don't want to tread water for 20 more minutes. If you guys are kind of done, then I'm sort of running out of gas too. No, I'm pretty sure Bob Kaler is up next. No reason why he wouldn't be. But yeah, let me go over to the map here and see if we can figure that out. My stream is usually the 3rd of 14 in the day. Yep, says Bob's going to be on at 6. Rob 93 at 7. Oh, Chris the Mad Aquarist Biggs canceled at 7 o'clock. Jay Wilson at 8 o'clock. Dan's Fish at 9 o'clock. 10 is open. Punchy's at 11. Benny's at 12. And then Blake goes overnight. Rachel canceled at 1. So let's see. 1, 2. It was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 3 of 10. So there you go. Thanks so much, everybody, for stopping by. I really appreciate you doing that. I'm going to have some special guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. I just haven't been able to make those arrangements right this second. Everybody's kind of up against it right now. A handful of people actually are going on short vacations. They're not going far away from their house, but they want to be someplace other than their house. And geez, who can't appreciate that, you know? Let's see here. Genetic inherited colors are tied to the male chromosomes in guppies and a few other fish. So, Dragon, we need to talk more about that because that's what I'm reading. Yet, yeah, it's kind of strange. But anyway, so in the coming weeks, Greg and I have talked. He's going to be on. I just need to reach out to him. Like I said, I've been a little under the weather, but doing better now. Going to get some of the other guys on here, some of the folks that you know about. One of the things I always wanted to do, but then I thought, well, maybe people wouldn't really get my sense of humor. But I don't know if you guys watch Jimmy Kimmel, but in all of his shows, he and Matt Damon are very, very close friends. But he always pretends, like in the old Johnny Carson days, if the show runs long, he bumps somebody off. So every single show that Jimmy Kimmel does, he always says, oh, my apologies to Ben Affleck, show ran long, we'll have him on tomorrow. Well, he's been doing that for years and years. And so I thought it would be funny, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe most people don't even know the joke. But to say, hey, I was going to have Joey DIY on. Unfortunately, the show ran a little long this week. We're going to have him a different time. Or I'll have Rachel O'Leary. I just throw all the names I possibly can. Corey from McQueen Co-op was going to be on, but we ran long, so on a different time and stuff like that. But I thought, who knows? That people might not get my sense of humor. But so anyway, that I was going to do that and going to smile accordingly. So anyway, thanks for being here. I'm going to start wrapping this up right now. I will see you next week. I hope you guys have a really good week, and I will come back with hopefully a better, compelling topic and maybe even an interesting guest with me. Okay, take care. Thanks so much. See ya. Hey, Bob. Hey, everybody go visit Bob. 15 minutes. Go to Bob Kaler's. See ya.